Let's do this!
Hi, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Tyler.
And we are Card Collectors.
Today, we're going to be reviewing Big Nose the Caveman on the NES.
It was made in 1991. It was published by Camerica. And it was licensed by Codemasters.
Yep. It's a gold card unlicensed game. Which is also why it's got the unusual shape. Other unlicensed games made by Camerica include Ultimate Stuntman B-52 and MiG-29.
They made other games, but we actually own 3 of them, so it looks pretty good.
4 of them.
4 of them. It's my bad. But anyways, just talking about the cartridge in particular, it looks pretty generic. It's nice and colorful. The only thing that we've noticed that's a little bit off is Big Nose looks more like a cave woman rather than a caveman.
Indeed. The game is obviously about a caveman named Big Nose. The storyline is very silly and just straightforward. Basically, Big Nose wakes up one day and he's like, "Oh man, I'm hungry. I gotta get myself some om-noms." And then an aerodactyl flies by and he's like, "That's gonna be my food."
You'll notice right off quick that the colors, the graphics in the game are pretty vibrant. I mean, especially in the foreground, you can see that there's a lot of textures rather than in the background, which is kind of plain.
Right. It looks like there's actually like layers to the
earth.
As far as, I mean, it was released in 1991, as Jacob said. So by that standard, the graphics aren't very good, but when you take into consideration it was an unlicensed game, it's actually not too bad.
One thing that we kind of notice is Big Nose is really huge compared to the dinosaurs. I know they're baby dinosaurs, but he is huge. I wonder if they wanted to kind of convey that he is a giant. Who knows?
The enemies in this game are pretty simple and fitting to the theme of the game. There are some enemies that fly, some enemies that move really fast, and even some enemies that don't move at all and kind of just freak you out like those damn scorpions. And also, it seems to be at random, the enemies will drop bones after you kill them. And they're all one-hit kills.
Bones are a currency that are used within shops. Usually after every couple of levels there's a shop, but also within some of the levels there's actually hidden shops throughout.
Yeah. In the shops you can buy upgrades. These upgrades are Auto Club, Double Club, Fast Club, Fast Stoning, and Power Stones. And those basically turn you into like the god or king of anywhere you go, and you're essentially just going ape-spit on everything in sight.
Also in the shops, other than upgrades, you can actually buy spells, which actually would help you quite a bit. There are some offensive spells, such as the light spell, which actually destroys every single enemy on the screen.
Helpful for tough bosses.
Yes, very helpful. And there's also a Quake spell, which actually kills all enemies that are up in the trees or all the plants that are rooted into the ground.
There's also just more helpful spells. There's a jump spell, which allows you to jump higher and reach platforms you couldn't previously access. There's a float spell that allows you to just glide through the level, a la the P-Wing in Super Mario Bros. 3, just not quite as good. There's a slow spell, which will temporarily slow down all the enemies in the game or for that level. There's an invincibility spell, which is very helpful on particular levels. Especially there's one on there's an ice level that's an auto scroll that's really helpful for, unless you fall into some lava or a pitfall. Then there's also a quick stop spell, which decreases the amount of momentum Big Nose has, but it's kind of counterproductive because by the time you get it, you've gotten a feel for the control and the momentum, so it's kind of like relearning the controls. And as soon as you're done with the level, it resets to the regular momentum, so it's basically a waste of your bones. And then the final spell is the stun spell, which will freeze all the enemies on the level. However, it does not work on the bosses. Jacob learned that the hard way, as did I.
Concerning the bosses, there's actually a boss at the end of every single level. Some are really, really hard, and then some are really easy. However, on per island basis, they actually recycle some of the bosses as well as some of the levels.
Speaking of the islands, there are 4 of them. They are Paradise, Monster, Terror, and Chaos. Each of them have 6 levels each. As Jacob mentioned, they are recycled throughout the islands, but they are some variations in them, mostly regarding the environment and the enemies on the levels.
Now into gameplay, basically it's a really fun platform. I mean, the style that they use is just absurdly addicting. It's sort of like Toki, actually, our first game review. But within each level you kind of go around, you jump on platforms, and you basically beat all the enemies in with a club. And while you're doing this, you can actually collect in-game upgrades.
Yep, those are the single stone, the double stone, and the treble stone. And without them, you die after 1 hit. But if you have any of these upgrades, it then acts as an extra hit. And as soon as you lose that, you go back to just your basic club. So it's very difficult playing the game without the upgrades, but it's still doable.
Which, following that, it brings up the idea of there's no continues in this game, which makes the game actually pretty difficult as well.
Yep. The no continues, you start with 3 lives. The one thing to be thankful for, though, is that some shops you can buy extra lives, but they are the most expensive item at any of the shops, and not all the shops carry the extra lives, so they become extremely valuable and just something you always want to make sure you stock up on.
Even though you're relying on all the lives since you don't have continues, and it's fairly difficult, it's actually still a pretty nice game. Actually, what me and Tyler wanted to do is, before we started Card Collectors, we'd go through all his games and we'd actually use a rating system.
Yep. Yeah, we played like well over 120 games, and when we were rating them, we did it based on 5 categories. They were control, difficulty, audio, graphics, and enjoyability. And these were on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best. And then we took that and, like, I guess you could say, extrapolated it to on a scale of 100, then to put it on in terms of percentage. So just a little bit of information on how we get to that percentage based off 100. The categories were based off 1 to 5. So basically we average the those 5 category scores, and then that gets times by 20 to get onto the 100 scale. So for me, that ended up giving the game an 82.
And when we averaged mine, we got a 76.
So then jointly, we average our 2 scores together, and the game got a 79.
So that's, yeah, it's actually a pretty decent grade.
I personally feel it's reflects a little poorly on how good the game really is, because I feel like the game is better than that 79, but this is just kind of for fun to see what
actually stacks up to other games.
Right. So we're going to start doing this on all of our reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So
and also please comment and
suggestions.
See if you did you like this style of game review?
Yep. So because we changed it up a little bit. Any suggestions, things you liked or didn't like, as always, down in the comment section, appreciated. And
like, subscribe,
share if you have any friends who like retro games, and yeah, just thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are Card Collectors. See ya.
See ya.